Hello everyone, and having seen GameSpot's top 5 reasons you should play SWTOR, I decided to make my own, because one of the reasons, believe it or not, was the CG cutscenes. Yeah, you're gonna download a 40 gig game to watch some CG cutscenes, aren't you? You could just go to YouTube, search SWTOR CG cutscenes. Not to say the CG cutscenes aren't awesome, but really, that's a reason to play the game. You're really thin for reasons. So here's my 5 reasons you should play SWTOR. Okay, it's going to be coming from a new player perspective. So, reason number 1 is, of course, the story. Now, let's look at what you get as a free-to-play player. Story-wise, you get two, because you get 2 character slots, 2 150-hour plus content worth of story content in this game. You look at it, that's about roughly, I mean, if you do both factions, there's about 150 plus hours of story content. You've got your class quest, obviously, which is unique to your class. You have the planetary stories. Every planet that you visit has a main story quest to go through. There's the side quests, they're all fully voice acted. Think of it as 2 Mass Effects. You're getting 2 Mass Effects for nothing. For absolutely nothing. You get the entire story, 1 to 50, which is the end of the class story. There are 2 expansions available currently. There are Rise of the Hutt Cartel, which introduces McKeb, and the level cap increase to 55, and of course you get Shadow of Revan. Now if you're a Knights of the Old Republic fan, you should get Shadow of Revan. However, you don't have to buy Rise of the Hutt Cartel. If you just become a subscriber, you do get Rise of the Hutt Cartel. And of course, there is the upcoming expansion, which is coming out in October, which is Knights of the Fallen Empire, which is going to introduce even more story content. Boy, have I taken... I eat shit for that every day, every video I make about that. But there you go, there's so much story content that you're going to get. Now, for free, you get 1 to 50, but it's still a beefy chunk of story content. The expansions are not as much story-based, although the next expansion is set to be very story-based. And also you get free level 60 if you subscribe. So there you go, you can jump ahead to level 60. And again, if you're a Knights of the Old Republic fan, you probably want to do Shadow of Revan. You probably want to check that out. So yeah, you're getting 2 Mass Effect games. Now, if you go down the preferred route, pay $5, you get 6 Mass Effect worth of story, 6 class stories. You probably will experience the planetary stories again, because the planetary stories are unique to each faction on each planet. For example, Empire Hoth is different to Republic Hoth. Both classes share that planet, both factions, should we say, share that planet, but they do have a different planetary quest. So you can get more questing out of the way by going over to the Empire or the Republic. But if you just pay $5, I mean, you buy something in the cartel market, you can buy the digital deluxe upgrade, which is like $5, and you become a preferred player, which gives you access. You have a lot of some of the restrictions of a free-to-play player lifted, and you also get 6 character slots as opposed to 2, so you get quite a lot there. It's quite a lot for $5, really. You do get quite a lot. You get the extra quick bar slot, you get like reduced cooldown times on your quick travel, should we say. You can get things like that in that. So it's definitely something to think about. If you really enjoy the story, my advice would be, depending on what kind of Star Wars fan you are, really, because you're going to be a Star Wars fan if you're playing Star Wars The Old Republic, obviously. If you're a Star Wars fan and you haven't checked this out and you're curious about it, because the upcoming movie, of course, Episode 7 is coming later this year, and you might want to check this out, because there's going to be a lot of promotion around the time when Episode 7 comes out, because a new expansion is going to be launching as well, just before Battlefront launches. It's a few weeks before Battlefront, and I think it's about a month and a half, 6 weeks or something before Episode 7 comes out. So there's going to be a lot of publicity surrounding Star Wars. You should check it out. It depends what kind of Star Wars fan you are. If you're a fan of Han Solo, play a smuggler, because you basically are Han Solo. If you're a fan of Luke or Anakin or that whole kind of, if you like the Jedi Knight, if you like being the chosen one, pick the Jedi Knight story. Pick the Sith Warrior one, pretty good as well if you're a Knights of the Old Republic fan. So, there's a story to satisfy everybody. Don't pick the Trooper one, though. Don't pick the Trooper. It's horrible. Okay, that's my advice to you. And we move on to number 2 is, of course, it is a very authentic Star Wars experience. If you're wondering that, how good is it as a Star Wars experience? If you're just a Star Wars fan, if you're not really an MMO fan, it is very authentic. Everything from the music is very Star Wars. They've got the John Williams scores there. It's even got its own music, which again is very, very Star Wars-like, of course. They have nailed it with the music design. The soundtrack is fantastic in SWTOR. I love the soundtrack. It is amazing. Very, very Star Wars-y. It's very, very authentic. Of course, the sound as well. The sound design. You want the sound Star Wars. The lightsabers, the blasters, the space ships. Very authentic. They have nailed that, of course. Your lightsabers, your blaster rifles. Nailed the sound design perfectly. They have captured that. You got to give BioWare credit. Also, the look and feel of Star Wars. Everything, nothing really looks out of place. You've got things like the iconic Star Wars planets are in it, like Tatooine, Hoth, Coruscant. These kind of places, you really do feel like there was a lot of love. The art team really did a fantastic job. Tatooine is just an endless desert, essentially. You've got like the sand people, you've got little dwellings as well. You've got cities as well. You've got a little city, what is it, Mos Anek or something like that for the Empire. And you've got, you know, it's very, very good. The design, the visual design, it's not the best game graphically, but artistically, they've nailed it. It looks like Star Wars. It sounds like Star Wars, more importantly, as well, because Star Wars had some excellent sound design. It was pretty cool. The iconic lightsaber hum is there. You know, blaster fire, everything you'd want for the look and feel of a Star Wars game is basically very well captured in SWTOR. It does very, very well. They do a very good job. It's one of the areas that BioWare excel at these things. The lore is very nice as well, the lore of each planet. You can hunt for datacrons, you can find out more, delve into the lore as well. They've fully fleshed out, most BioWare games do have fully fleshed out lore, and it's no surprise here. They haven't cut corners just because they were making an MMO on, you know, lore and story and things like that. They haven't done that. They've done a fantastic job. And number 3, the reason why you'd want to do this is more an MMO reason, is the community. Now, community does get a bad rap in MMOs, and people in the SWTOR community might be surprised to hear me say that, but overall, the SWTOR community is pretty decent. Actually, pretty decent. A lot of new players join the game, and a lot of people are prepared to help them. You do get the odd troll. Don't ask a question in general chat. My advice is, if you're new to the game, is to join a guild. Join a, you know, a helpful guild. Do a bit of research. Check out the forums, really, as well. Check out the new player help on the forums. There's some good things there as well. Also check out your class forums for some tips and things like that. But there is generally, a lot of people make a lot of guides for things. I do a few guides. I've got a guide coming up for the HK51 quest line. I'll blow my own trumpet, might as well. No one else is going to blow it for me. Yeah, we're into that. Yeah, we have to blow our own trumpet, don't we? Yeah, but then it's, you know, people out there making guides. There's people who do a lot of help for new players out there. Don't be put off by what you read on the general forums, okay, or people, and don't be put off by pickup groups that you meet in Group Finder, because it's not all like that. It's not all bad. There is the bad side, obviously, to every MMO community, but overall, I'd say the SWTOR community is pretty decent. Actually, pretty decent for an MMO, actually, and, you know, yeah, they're definitely one. It's definitely the reason why you stick around. Definitely, it's a good enough reason to stick around. Good community, always gonna make you stick around for the long term, at least. If you like the story, you like Star Wars, and you want to stick around, you're gonna stick. It's the community is one of the reasons you're gonna stick around, basically. And we'll move on to number 4, which is Galactic Strongholds. I love the strongholds. If you don't know what the strongholds are, they're basically player housing. You get to create your own little galactic, your little home in the old Republic. Is awesome. You get to customize it. You got decorations. You can collect decorations. It's a good reason to do a lot of content. You can customize it. It has gameplay functions as well. You can have an auction house. You can have like appearance customization. You can have your bank terminal. You can have all these things that are gameplay function wise. But again, if you're a collector, a hoarder of pets, if you're a hoarder of, you know, pets, mounts, these things. It's a great place to display them, and you know, you can create your own little part of your own little Star Wars world. It's great for RPers if you're a role player. In particular, you know, a lot of people spend a lot of time and a lot of money. Now, a lot of the stronghold items are available in the cash shop generally, but there are a few things that are available in game. It's a good reason to go out and run some content. Again, some guilds will run old content to get stronghold items just to upgrade their strongholds. The other thing you've got is guild ships as well, which are really, really cool. Again, you can deck them out. You can customize your own starship. You know, your guild's own starship as well. You do get a starship in SWTOR which you can explore, but you can't customize, unfortunately. It would be something I think they should add in the future, is customizable starships for you. They do have space combat as well, which you can customize the paint jobs on your starship for PvP, but no one really bothers with that anymore. Starfighter has been, you know, it's one of those things that was a good idea, but I think it's something that they've never really revisited. But it's something you can check out if you're into the space battles in SWTOR, is Starfighter, Galactic Starfighter. I don't know how many people are doing it, because I've never done it before. There is the single player space battles if you're into that, which is just basically Star Fox, essentially. It's just Star Fox. You can even do a barrel roll, even that. But the final reason why you should play the Old Republic is, if you want KOTOR 3, this is the closest you're gonna get. Okay, this is it. This is like the closest we're gonna get to Knights of the Old Republic 3. It also ties up some of the loose ends from Knights of the Old Republic, and it is a sequel. Technically it is a sequel. It is set 300 years after the events of Knights of the Old Republic, but it is technically, it's the closest you're going to get. So people who are crying for Knights of the Old Republic 3, this is probably the closest that we're going to get. And certainly Knights of the Fallen Empire is supposed to be based heavily on Knights of the Old Republic, so certainly maybe you want to check that out. Bear in mind that Shadow of Revan and Rise of the Hutt Cartel, the 2 expansions, will be free in October. So if you subscribe in October, you will get access to 3 expansions worth of content. If you're not a subscriber and you want to subscribe, 3 whole expansions you will get in October, because you will get the story for Knights of the Fallen Empire. You also get free level 60 as well. If you want to skip the other 2 expansions, you can just go right ahead and do that. Or you know, because it will be a story-driven expansion, Knights of the Fallen Empire. Some of us don't like it, some of us do like it, but you know, it is, if you like the story, it's good for you. If you love the story there, so that's a good reason to do that. Is that the game is its update cadence isn't the best. It's not as bad as WoW. I mean, we're not left with no content for, you know, 14 months, although we did have a 14-month raid tier. There was new content in between that, you know, it was mostly story content. So it is, if you really like your single player story driven games, SWTOR is a good game for you. If you think about SWTOR as not a free to play MMO, because a lot of people complain about the free to play features of SWTOR, and what I say to them is, don't think of it as a free-to-play MMO. Think of it as a free-to-play single-player game with some MMO trial features, essentially. Because most of the things that are restricted are MMO-like. Like, you really don't need credits. You don't need to wear artifact gear if you're just a story player. You know, you don't need to do, well, if you want to do PvP, but you are limited in how much PvP, how many war zones you can queue for a week. You're limited to, I think you're limited to how much loot you can get in flashpoints, which are like dungeons in SWTOR. But again, they are going to be soloable in the next expansion. There's going to be solo versions of them, so there's going to be even more story content for you available for free. I guess they'll be available to free-to-play players if they're solo. You get a Jesus droid, which can't die. That droid is the most powerful thing in the galaxy, right? Forget Sidious, forget Darth Vader, forget everything. Every villain, every hero you've ever seen in Star Wars, that droid that you get for solo mode is the most powerful entity in the galaxy. I'm surprised this doesn't take over the galaxy anyway. So anyway, that is all. That is my 5 reasons to play SWTOR. And there you go. I made a positive video to all the people complaining. I actually made a positive video. Bet this won't get any views though, because people only watch the negative videos for some reason, and then wonder why, and then complain, why do you always make negative videos? But then they get the most views. So anyway, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon. And Goodbye, and don't forget to play it. Check it out at least. Download it. It is about a 40 gig download, but you know, there's worse things to download out there. So stop downloading porn and get onto some SWTOR. So thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.